So we are going to talk about the SAP architecture and other things. Just to go through the ground rules here, uh, everybody should be on mute. Um, you should, if you are not on mute, it's a disturb everyone. So the expectation is everybody should be on mute. The question and answer session, once it would be open, you're free to open up and speak on that one. In case you have questions, please write that one in the chat window so that uh, I can address those based on the availability, and the question and answer session at that time we can talk about it. If you have any issues with this audio or meeting or any other technical stuff, please get uh, onto a contact on a WhatsApp number mentioned here. Uh, Otherwise, if you come up with the new queries which are post our session, then you can write it to support@sastrageek.com, and you can check out more trainings on sastrageek.com. So with that one, we will be starting about our session today. We are going to cover SAP, its evolution, TM's evolution, and architecture, SAP TM architecture. So I don't know, but how many of you know about SAP? Uh, like how many are actually working on SAP?
Yes, Adi, Ritesh here. Yeah, I'm working on SAP.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Adi, this is Vikram. I have been also working on SAP.
Okay. And
hi Adi, this is Gopi here. I'm also LG consultant.
Okay. Okay. Good to know that. So I just wanted to know which version or what terminology like SAP you're talking about. So are you guys are a consultant or end users, meaning you're doing a transactions for some company?
Adi, I am the guy. I am Gopi here. I am the SD consultant.
Okay, good to know that, Gopi. What about Ritesh or Vikram?
Yeah, hi, Adi, Ritesh here. I've worked on a couple of modules of SAP. Recently, I worked on EWM, and it was a S4 system. So,
okay, good to know that. And Vikram?
Yeah. Yes, Adi, I'm also a consultant. I've worked on multiple modules. Thanks for asking.
No problem. So yeah, so there are few folks who are actually working as a SAP consultant and are using SAP system. So let's talk about, for others, it might be a little bit a different story. So SAP is an old system. It has been established in 1972. Does anybody know who established this company? I don't want the names, but whether you know about it or not.
IBM.
IBMers, yes. So during this time, this is specifically a very weird situation where during the same period, Oracle was also formed by ex-IBMers. So everybody coming out of IBM, there was a project called system development of ERP system development, and many folks were part of it. And IBM somehow lost the focus and were abandoning that one. And these folks didn't want to let it go, so they formed these companies. And now IBM is actually doing the consultancy for these companies for the softwares. So the background about SAP is it's an old ERP system, and it has well-established best business practices in core ERP modules, which are specifically used for manufacturing, and it is it has a very high or very good architecture, which is well accepted by industry across the world. And it's not only specific industries which are using SAP. SAP is used by major manufacturers who are part of who do manufacturing activities. Now, it's not in recent world. I would say everything is majorly like service industry, retail industry, pharmaceutical industry, all other industries. Everybody is using SAP now. So. Take an example like Adidas is using SAP. Airlines, so Spirit Airways, which is a US based cheap carrier airways, they are using SAP. United uses SAP. Hello, somebody wants to speak. Uh, Apple uses SAP. Then uh, multiple companies, so pharmaceutical industry, banking industry, many of those are using SAP. So initially it was good for manufacturing, but slowly they established their presence in different industry verticals as well. So they are well accepted. So it has been done. So what is it has done so far, and what was the advantage of SAP? So SAP was established certain best business practices which are commonly across the industry. So those would be processed or are there in SAP, which kind of takes out a burden, standardization burden. Since this is a German company, Europeans are more towards a process-oriented persons. So that's how it would be. They are more focused on processes, and getting those processes covered in your system would give them a better uh, exposure. What benefits has been given by SAP? So once you go into any industry, and if they know that, hey, they have like a SOX compliance, they have a change management compliance, their processes, nothing gets deleted from system, everything is logged. So those are the kind of requirements in Western countries, as well as now the audit trail is available now in India as well, and eastern part of the world. So it gives you a better visibility on every aspect. That's why it has been highly accepted. So moving on to the next slide. Oops, what happened? So the SAP, when it was established, it was R1 system. So now some folks said S4, which is HANA. That's the latest version of SAP system, ERP system. And the initially it was R1 system. Then it became R2, R3. So this 1, 2, 3 represents the layers, different layers in the ERP system. So what are these layers? I will will explain it to you in next slide. So if you look at this roadmap, how SAP has evolved from R1 to R2, R3, and then ahead. So what was required for them to do these changes, right? Uh, so R1, R2, R3. So R3, let's take an example of R3 because that's where the three layers are there. Uh, so the evolution was required because there were multiple systems available. So global organizations having localized units using different ERP systems, and to communicate between them, they need to establish something, some another way of doing it. So they have to establish other ways. So nobody was doing like a, especially if you talk about US, they were always more focused. If you look at like before 2000 era, everybody was using Oracle, BAN, these kind of a systems, ERP systems. And Europe and everyone was more like mixed, not necessarily SAP or anything. But then slowly the scenario changed and SAP became a market leader for ERP system. Currently, they are before HANA, they were like a 70 to 80% of world manufacturers were using SAP system, and others were Oracle, JDE, then Azure, then Microsoft had a system. Um, so those kind of systems were used, and so companies were having a difficulty of connecting or making only three-tier system to connect each other. So SAP understood that part and they said, okay, we will make a better version of it, which is called ECC. So after R3, it became ECC. So Enterprise Central Component, ECC stands for, and it can connect to multiple systems and having multiple layers of the three layers can be utilized for multiple applications, and that's where the supply chain management higher modules which were established. So you must be knowing APO, SRM, CRM, all these modules are supply chain management modules, and these are after ECC, and these are like a more detailed uh, process processes from uh, or more detailed enhancement of the standard functionality. So PP became APO. uh, the advanced planning optimizer gave you more flexibility, more processes, and better way of looking at planning and other aspect. Demand, then supplier network planning, supplier network collaboration. These are different ways APO was covering. The supplier relationship management was better used for like indirect procurements, which now is Ariba. So that's something which came up in this era. Apart from that, then it to connect with everybody, the WebDyn Pro or NetWeaver application started flowing into that system. So the web-based GUI usage started increase post 2000, and that's where everybody wanted a user experience, not necessarily same user experience, but the points came up like, oh, SAP doesn't give me aesthetic. Where if so users who are using SAP, they understand that SAP system, the GUI is not so user friendly. It is there for data entry and all, but once you used to it, it's okay for you. But as a end user, it's not that user friendly. So they changed that into a WebDyn Pro or NetWeaver client, and that's where a little web HTML kind of experience was evolved. And there they understood that user needs more personalizations. So there was some product from SAP called Personas and all, where you can do it per person or per company. You have a different personal way of feel touch to that transactions and all. And then they came up with the Fiori applications. So those Fiori applications are their way forward. And Fiori applications are a web-based technology which can be used on a laptop, desktop, mobile, tablets, handheld devices. So that's kind of everywhere it can be used. It just needs the internet connection most probably. And that's how the architecture came. Then SAP also realized that SAP was only using the database of Oracle, majorly everybody was creating their servers in Oracle, other systems. So they said, why not we have our own platform, which is HANA. So it's high end processors, RAM, memories, and all. So they kind of proposed this HANA in memory computing, and it kind of helped them in reporting analytics of SAP. So they started utilizing that as a platform, as a service, and everything. So slowly they migrated from there, the standard ECC version to HANA. And now everything is HANA. Where you want uh, cloud-based solutions, HANA is available on cloud. The on-premise, which is like you own certain servers and those you connect to them via internet or something, that's possible. That's old technology. And HANA is a cloud-based technology where everything is on cloud. So in cloud, you have two options: private cloud, public cloud, semi-private cloud. So those are coming up here. And then the versions started coming up into SAP HANA. Uh, so you must be hearing these words: HANA 1, HANA 2. Then in HANA 2, there are like SAP HANA 1610, 1509, 1809, 1905. Those kind of structures are like versions of SAP. It's just a way of identifying when the system was released and in what quarter. So that's the journey of SAP and evolution or changes in SAP. So does anybody have a question regarding HANA versions or the R3 architecture? Okay, I take it as no. Moving on to the left, old. So the R3, that 3 stands for these 3 layers. So one is a database layer, one is application layer, and the last one is a presentation layer. So database as itself stores everything in database structures, tables, and memory thing. The application is nothing but your ERP system, where the linkage of the transactional data is made and is stored into the database. And presentation is where you actually do the transactions and what you see on the system. So these are the 3 layers in SAP. So the database could be Oracle, Unix, anything, SQL. Those are the databases. Application, definitely our SAP ERP system. And presentation is what we see on the GUI transactions. So that ECC thing was when enterprise central component, ECC was, then this multiple architectures are combined together to give you that possibility. So for SRM and all, they had 3 more layers. Then my other system might have another 3 layers. So everything was communicating and becoming a multi-tier architecture. That was the requirement initially. So looking at the new architecture, so this is S4 HANA architecture. You can see there are multiple components sitting in one box, or multiple things are happening in single box. So this is a core S4 application where everything is linked, and this is a database, HANA database. There are multiple layers of BW stands for business warehousing, the ABAP layer, then basis layer, then the process integration layer, then S4 core is there, and then this presentations for multiple modules and all. To be very simple, this is what we can easily understand. So the HANA architecture changed from 1503 to 1511, 1610, and onwards. So I'm just showing you 1809's architecture, but there is multiple of those things happen further on this one. So 1503 at that time, see the ERP, this was HANA 1 version actually, where the simple finance and all were part of it. And HANA was made live. And here CRM, supply chain management, supplier relationship management, these are like SCM modules, which were again separate boxes. Then in 1511, few things, applications increased and the add-ons were reduced and made a standard, and that's but it was connecting to other factors as well. So these are the SAP's cloud solutions. Success factors is your human resource thing, new cloud-based application. SAP Concur. I don't know anybody has used SAP Concur, or their company is using SAP Concur.
Yeah, but
Yeah, this is Vikram. We have been using Concur for travel and expense.
Correct. So SAP Concur is a travel and expense planning tool which utilizes or stores your company's preferences. So if you want a preferred rental agreement of a car to be with a national enterprise hertz, whatever your company's preference, those are stored in this Concur, as well as your hotel booking. So when you're traveling and all, companies' preferences, they have to have a Marriott or Hyatt or the whatever. So multiple hotel chains are there. So the preferences are used in this one, Concur. SAP Ariba is nothing but your indirect procurement cloud solution. They are the first one to go on cloud, and SAP is utilizing that. Initially, SAP was competing with Ariba with SAP SRM, and then they abandoned their SRM and started asking their customers to migrate onto Ariba. Hybris is a cloud solution for C4C, customer to customer, customer for customer interactions. It's a you can connect any web-based thing to via Hybris to SAP. The field glass is for time. So when you do this services, base HR services for time management or maintenance type of services, those the time logs and all would be maintained in Fieldglass. These are the different solutions, and these are all on cloud. SAP's roadmap was at initially when they were looking at this HANA thing, their vision was they want to move everything onto cloud. So they slowly, if there are any partners or any other technologies which they can utilize for moving into cloud, they were using that. So they kind of bought these many companies and became made part of their architecture or their S4 landscape suite. Then if you see in 1610, it made certain additions into the standard S4 had more functionalities or modules which were included in the S4 landscape. So EWM became embedded in S4. The PPDS was APO's part, which became part of the S4 landscape. These are the certain functionalities which were taken from this layer to the S4 layer. Then when you look at 1709 or 1809, TM became part of the S4 landscape. It became part of the S4 meaning it became embedded. So SAP, of course, offers whether you want the TM to be embedded or standalone. It's still there, but the option of embedded is better. And then they have added more cloud applications and multiple connectivities here. So those would be added up there.
Hi, this is Naga. This is typically the cloud architecture that you're talking
Yeah,
about,
Naga.
right? Okay.
Okay, no problem. So this is till 1809, and then 1909 and 2020 HANA versions are available now. So those are also having more functionalities, part of S4 core architecture. So let me go down the lane to see something more. So what is that embedded means? So intelligent ERP is what SAP wants to create it. So there are certain things which needs to take place automatically within SAP. So those were part of this one. So anybody, I know Ritesh, Vikram, and sorry, I forgot his name. Gopi, you're a consultant, so you must be using this intelligent ERP thing. So how much you guys have worked on this thing? Hello, Naga, Vikram,
Yeah. Hi, this is
Ritesh.
Vikram. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my company is currently implemented 1909, and we are rolling out, some new, like we are now right now integrating the standalone EWM we have with S4. Some sites will go on decentralized EWM, and the smaller sites are basically going on embedded. So that's what we're doing right now. The core S4 HANA has been implemented.
Okay. What about Naga? Naga, I guess you are using SAP system.
Yeah, so we are part of S4HANA. We are not into intelligent ERP yet. So it's like having a smartphone.
Okay.
So smartphone doesn't make you feel smart, but the phone is smart. So as
Okay.
intelligent ERP, but typically, so this is the next generation. They would have used the same word smart, but intelligence doesn't. Maybe the future generation, but honestly, organizations have not speed up that much yet into this intelligence.
Correct.
They're still hardworking, not intelligent yet.
So I don't know, but I have seen people are reluctant to move from their old SAP architecture to HANA migrations because there are multiple questions which are still not answered by SAP for HANA architecture.
Yeah, not only that, it involves too much of cost and change management.
Correct.
You may be, it's like taking movies in satellite, but are your theaters ready to host satellite-based, movies? So
Correct.
that's a kind of question. So as with technology. To be honest with you, in our organization, the SAP implementation itself is taking a longer time. Forget about intelligent ERP.
Yeah, but how long it has been going on for implementation?
It's almost 7 years now.
7 years? Wow,
Yeah.
that's a very long time. And how many, like, if your organization is, I am expecting it is a very big organization and it has a multi-country presence as well. So how many, like out of like 100% of the business in system, how much has been made live in SAP?
If I say honestly, it might be 25%, not more than that.
Wow, 25% in 7 years. That's very low and too low. Wow. And but yeah, you have your own reasons. Your organization might be having their own reasons.
No, you may
That
have, see, the thing is, you may have a very aggressive goals, but at the end of the day, every organization have to live through certain change, you know. I always tell comically to our organization, you know what, by the time you will be done with this implementation, you will ask us to set up plant as material because you want to sell off whatever you have already done.
yes. So, but the thing is, if your organization is using or implementing for 7 years, the business processes are streamlined, a lot streamlined.
Yeah.
There may be hiccups in migration, of course, but users know what transaction needs to be done and what are the limitations of those transactions, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They must be aware of it. So
Yeah.
uh, this intelligent ERP is a new concept, and everybody wants to be intelligent or smart. So uh, SAP is no more different in that one. SAP wants everything to be part of the architecture. So their vision of going forward was everything moving onto cloud, and they want to take out this customization part where they want everything to be standardized, and that way they can promise or get better returns to companies. So how do you do that one? When you have a standardization, then the intelligent or the artificial intelligence will do some work on it and can propose something different algorithms or different way of doing the process. So that's what the intelligent would be looking at. This is true for SAP Ariba, because Ariba, if you want to implement Ariba for certain revenue gains or spend, reducing your spend in certain areas, Ariba straight away says you have to follow my process, not your process. If you follow my process, I will promise you this way. So that is what slowly everybody is looking at it. And I see this is happening in Oracle as well. Oracle also is reducing the customization in cloud solutions so that everything standard works for you. So those are the way of looking at this one. And if you see supply chain, you have embedded TM and embedded EWM systems. So those are helping you as uh, addition. There are certain datas or transfers eliminated due to that one. There are certain things which are advantageous when you have an embedded system. So you don't need to have the business partner to be transferred from your system to the TM standalone, EWM standalone systems. You don't have to send your products or materials from one system to another system. That's kind of a master data transfer has been taken out. The TM system always integrates or was communicating via PI interface. That's one of the options available. So for communications between S4 ECC to TM. So that's where the that gets eliminated. Then you only have to monitor queues because everything is communicated via RFC queues. So that is possible and gives an advantage. But if you talk about disadvantages, the system, if something goes wrong with the system connection, network, or database, it's going to impact everything. That's only disadvantage I think of.
So
Otherwise,
if I understand this picture correctly, sorry to interrupt.
hmm?
So S4 HANA is at the the intelligent ERP, which is on cloud, and the S4 HANA is on premises, or both are on cloud?
Both are on cloud. S4 is available on premise as well as on cloud.
Okay, but here I'm struggling
No,
to
no,
understand.
no, no. This is
Uh,
totally the S4 is a base. and on which different functions are shown. So
So
procurement,
everything is on
sales,
cloud.
supply. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So in that case, the
19.
company,
Yeah.
so the company need not worry how they get integrated between sales and S/4HANA or supply chain and S/4HANA. It is all one
Yeah.
solution. It's all one
Correct.
solution for the client.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 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 So S4 HANA having everything together. So you don't have to like have a different box or a different server through which it comes to S4. So okay. And 1905 onwards, everything is on cloud. Till that
No,
one.
sorry, you're contradicting to each other. So
This
1909, so 1909 is full cloud and 1809 is S/4HANA on premises and intelligent ERP on cloud.
S4 HANA can be on premise as well as on cloud. Intelligent ERP is the name for the whole thing. This 1809 itself is an
Okay,
intelligent ERP.
all right.
Uh,
Thank you.
and
So Adi,
1905, yeah.
yeah, sorry, please continue. I will ask after that.
No, go ahead. If you have a doubt, it's better asked. And if I have an answer in the next couple of slides, that would be okay. Otherwise, I can answer it right.
So Ritesh, sorry, I could be wrong, so please correct me. I had an understanding there are two things. I mean, in my world at least, SAP S4, and then other thing is SAP S4 Cloud, right? Like we say, this option is not available. Like I think the FI guys were talking. Okay, they didn't have many options in the FI Cloud, so they don't want to go to FI Cloud. They just want to stick to regular S4 because FI there has all the options. So similarly, I was hoping like, there are two things, S4 and S4 Cloud, and within each, we have a deployment option, on-premise, cloud, or hybrid.
Yes, that is true, Ritesh. But if you look at this currently, what I have shown is 1809 architecture. Okay, the next version was 1905. Okay, and as per SAP, it is available on cloud. That you can have on premise as well, and hybrid option. The deployment options are cloud, on premise, and this one hybrid option. Mostly people go for hybrid because they want this certain things to be available. The way I was telling you about Ariba, that Ariba says that if you want spend to be reduced, you have to follow our process, and there are no customizations in this one. That is what the cloud solution, S4 cloud solution is about.
Okay, so you can't do much with the cloud. You can't customize it much.
Yeah, typically cloud always have certain standardization from a business process standpoint, and those processes are only supported by SAP because the assumption is one size fits all, whether you take it or leave it.
Correct, yes.
If you go with the hybrid model, where on premises you have every liberty to configure whatever you like.
Correct.
Okay, and it's not one yes or no which will help companies, but it is what it is.
Correct. Yes.
So,
thank you for adding.
No, I'm trying to help understand myself and also help others as well, because this is a collective learning rather than just a hostile audience approach.
Yeah.
What got me a little confused was the intelligent ERP. Like last year I was working for a client. Of course, they had S4. They had I think they had 1905 or 1809. But
Ritesh, intelligent intelligent ERP is just a marketing word. Okay, it's like a smartphone. So apart from
Okay,
that,
fine.
it's all arm twisting the client. So you want to use this, I will only support sales order, delivery, and invoice. So if there is an in between, you want a sales order to create a purchase request, no, you can't do that because SAP is saying you can do it in cloud.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
if your business demands, then it's a kind of hybrid model. Vast majority of people go for a hybrid model because that is where there is liberty to both the consulting perspective and also from the client perspective.
Yeah, and that is where the many organizations are waiting for that option, and how somebody who is migrating is how their migration is happening. And that's the reason multiple organizations are not moving into HANA as well. That's what the biggest challenge currently for every organization is having. The problems are like, if they go for a cloud, they have restrictions and their business processes won't work, fit into that. Majorly, every organization had done a fitment analysis with SAP, where they want how the HANA thing will work if they go for a cloud or not. And that's kind of where everybody's questions, rather than answering one question, they have now multiple questions in front of them unanswered. So that's where this comes into picture, and many organizations are waiting for that clarity. And because of that, SAP was doing a support for ECC version till 2025, but it has now been extended to 2030. So,
2030.
30, yes.
20. Okay.
30, yeah.
And
Then they're shooting on their feet.
Yes.
So, Adi, another small point here. I had two questions, but I just want to ask, are we discussing this topic, since this is architecture, that's why I'm asking, this TM standalone versus embedded in detail further, or this, whatever it is here in this session?
We are going to discuss about that, standalone and embedded. There are,
then I will,
down the line.
park my questions then.
Ritesh, this my understanding is these are very philosophical questions. Okay.
No, actually, these are very. But let's see. Let's take it when it comes.
Yes, no problem. Let's see. I was just covering right now the SAP evolution from R1 to HANA. Now we are going to see, next slide is about TM.